Influence is the invisible force that shapes the direction of our lives. Every decision, every opportunity, and every relationship is touched by it. Whether you realize it or not, you are influencing others every single day through your words, your actions, and even your silence. The question is not whether you have influence, but whether you are using it wisely and effectively. The ability to influence others is one of the most powerful skills a person can master. It's not about manipulation or control. True influence comes from building trust, inspiring respect, and creating genuine connections that lead to growth and success for everyone involved. When you learn how to influence with integrity, you gain the power to lead, to persuade, and to bring out the best in the people around you. In this audiobook, we will explore the timeless principles that have helped leaders, visionaries, and everyday individuals create meaningful impact. You will discover how to master yourself first, communicate with clarity and confidence, and build trust so strong that others naturally want to follow your lead. You will learn practical strategies to navigate conflicts, inspire action, and leave a legacy of positive change. This is more than just theory. It's a guide you can apply to every area of your life, from your career to your relationships. The world needs people who can lead with wisdom and influence with purpose. That journey starts now. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Influence begins with self-mastery. If you want to influence others, you must first learn to influence yourself. This is where true power begins. Think about it. Why should anyone follow your lead or trust your words if you haven't learned to lead your own mind, your own emotions, and your own actions? People are drawn to strength, not chaos. They are inspired by those who practice what they preach, not those who merely talk about change. Self-mastery is the foundation of influence because it builds credibility. It's like the roots of a tree, invisible to the eye, but holding up everything visible above the ground. When you lack control over yourself, it eventually shows. It shows in your tone, in your decisions, and even in the way you carry yourself. But when you've done the inner work, people sense it. They feel your calmness in a crisis, your confidence under pressure, and your consistency when others are unpredictable. Mastering yourself doesn't mean being perfect or never feeling doubt. It means being aware of your thoughts and emotions instead of being controlled by them. It's pausing before you react. It's making decisions based on principles rather than impulses. This kind of inner strength creates a quiet authority that others can't help but notice. If you want to be someone others listen to, start by keeping the promises you make to yourself. Wake up when you say you will. Follow through on your commitments, even when no one is watching. Build habits that strengthen your character day after day. Each small act of discipline is like adding another brick to the foundation of your influence. People don't just listen to your words, they watch your life. If you're preaching patience but snapping at every minor inconvenience, they won't take you seriously. If you talk about success but can't manage your own time or emotions, your message will ring hollow. But when your actions match your message, people begin to trust you. That trust is what turns influence into something real and lasting. So before you try to change others, focus on shaping yourself. Learn to guide your own mind, calm your own storms, and lead your own life with purpose. When you do this, you won't have to demand respect or chase influence. It will come to you naturally. Others will look at you and think, this is someone worth following. Remember, influence isn't about having control over others. It's about having control over yourself, so fully that others are inspired to rise to a higher standard just by being around you. Master yourself first, and you will have laid the unshakable groundwork for influencing the world around you. Chapter 2. Build trust. Like your life depends on it. Trust is the heartbeat of influence. Without it, your words are just noise. You can have the most brilliant ideas, the best strategies, and the most inspiring vision, but if people don't trust you, none of it matters. Influence without trust is like a house built on sand. It may stand for a moment, but eventually it will crumble. Think about the people you've been most willing to listen to in your life. Maybe it was a mentor, a teacher, a coach, or even a close friend. Chances are, it wasn't just what they said that made them influential, it was who they were. You believed in them because you trusted them. You knew they had your best interest at heart. That's the kind of trust you must build if you want to influence others in a meaningful way. Trust isn't something you demand, it's something you earn, piece by piece, through consistent actions over time. It's built when people see you show up the same way, whether the spotlight is on you or not. It's built when you do what you say you will do, even when it's inconvenient. Every promise you keep adds a brick to the structure of trust. Every promise you break chips away at it. One of the fastest ways to build trust is to genuinely care about people. And when I say care, I don't mean pretending to care to get something out of them. People can sense fake concern from a mile away. Real care is about listening deeply, paying attention to their needs, and showing up for them without always thinking, "What's in it for me?" When people feel seen and valued, they naturally open up and allow you to influence them. Another key to trust is transparency. Be honest about your intentions, your mistakes, and even your limitations. Some people think showing vulnerability will make them seem weak, but the opposite is true. When you admit when you're wrong, or share the lessons you've learned through failure, people see you as human. They see you as relatable, and that makes your influence even stronger. Consistency is the glue that holds trust together. Imagine a leader who is calm and supportive one day, then explosive and unpredictable the next. How would you feel around them? Probably tense, uncertain, and guarded. You wouldn't know which version of them you were going to get. That kind of inconsistency destroys trust. To influence others, you must become someone they can count on. Your words, your actions, and your character should line up day after day. Now here's the thing about trust. It takes time to build, but only seconds to destroy. A single lie, a broken promise, or a selfish act can undo months or even years of trust building. That's why you must protect it fiercely. Guard it like a priceless treasure, because in many ways it is. Think of trust like a bank account. Every honest action, every kept promise, and every moment of genuine care is like making a deposit. Over time, you build a balance that allows you to withstand occasional mistakes or misunderstandings. But if you're constantly withdrawing through dishonesty, neglect, or broken commitments, eventually the account runs dry. And when it does, your influence disappears with it. Here's a powerful truth. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You could have the perfect solution to their problem, but if they don't feel that you understand them or value them, they won't listen. Influence is about building a bridge of trust, strong enough to carry the weight of your ideas. So ask yourself, do people trust me? If the answer is uncertain, start there. Examine how you show up in your relationships, both personal and professional. Are you consistent? Are you reliable? Do you genuinely care, or are you just trying to get something in return? When you build trust, like your life depends on it, you create a foundation so strong that your influence can grow without limits. People will not only listen to you, they will follow you, support you, and even defend you when you're not in the room. That's the kind of influence that lasts. And it all begins with trust. Chapter 3. Master the art of listening deeply. If you want to influence people, here's a secret that most overlook: stop talking so much. True influence doesn't begin with speaking, it begins with listening. Not the kind of listening where you nod your head while silently planning what you're going to say next. I'm talking about deep, genuine listening. The kind that makes the other person feel like, in that moment, they are the most important person in the world. Most people don't really listen. They hear words, but they don't understand the heart behind them. They're too busy waiting for their turn to speak, ready to jump in with their own opinions or advice. But here's the thing, when you do that, you miss what's really being said. And if you don't truly understand someone, how can you hope to influence them? Deep listening is more than a skill. It's a discipline, a habit, and a form of respect. When you listen deeply, you send a powerful message. I value you. Your thoughts and feelings matter. And when people feel valued, they naturally begin to trust you. Trust, as you learned in the last chapter, is the foundation of influence. So, how do you master this art? It begins with being fully present. Put down your phone, close your laptop, stop glancing at the clock. Give the person in front of you your full, undivided attention. In today's distracted world, this alone makes you stand out. Most people rarely experience someone's full attention, and when they do, it's unforgettable. Next, listen to understand, not to reply. This means setting aside your assumptions and really trying to see the world through their eyes. Don't just hear their words, listen for their emotions. What are they feeling? What are they really trying to say beneath the surface? Sometimes the words themselves are just the tip of the iceberg. Here's a simple practice. After someone speaks, pause for a moment before responding. This short pause shows that you are processing what they've said, instead of just rushing to fill the silence. It also gives them space to add more if they need to. You'd be amazed at how often people reveal their true thoughts in those extra few seconds of silence. Another key element of deep listening is asking thoughtful questions. Not questions to interrogate, but questions to invite deeper sharing. For example, instead of quickly giving advice, you might say, "Tell me more about how that made you feel," or "What do you think is the best way forward?" These questions show you care and that you're invested in understanding them fully. And don't forget about your body language. Your eyes, your posture, your facial expressions, they all speak louder than your words. When you lean in slightly, maintain gentle eye contact, and nod at the right moments, you send a non-verbal signal that says, "I'm with you, I'm listening." On the other hand, crossed arms, distracted glances, or fidgeting can undo all your verbal efforts. The more deeply you listen, the more people will open up to you. They'll share their fears, their dreams, their struggles, things they don't reveal to just anyone. And when someone feels safe enough to open up, that's when influence truly begins. Because now, you're not just dealing with surface-level conversations, you're connecting on a human level. There's also a hidden benefit to deep listening. It makes you smarter. When you listen carefully, you gather insights and perspectives you would have otherwise missed. You begin to understand patterns, motivations, and opportunities that others overlook. And the more you understand people, the better you can guide, inspire, and lead them. One of the greatest gifts you can give someone is your attention. It costs you nothing, but to the other person, it can mean everything. People remember how you made them feel far more than the exact words you spoke. When someone walks away from a conversation with you feeling truly heard, they'll never forget it. So, if you want to influence others, stop focusing on what you're going to say next. Instead, focus on listening so deeply that the other person feels understood on a level they've never experienced before. Because when someone feels understood, they'll naturally be more open to your ideas, your guidance, and your vision. Master the art of listening deeply, and you'll find that your words carry far more weight when you finally do speak. In a world full of noise, the person who truly listens will always stand out, and that more than anything, will make you unforgettable. Chapter 4. Speak with power and purpose. Words are powerful. They can inspire someone to take action, calm someone's fears, or even change the direction of a life. But words can also do the opposite. They can confuse, discourage, or harm. That's why learning to speak with power and purpose is one of the most important skills you can ever develop if you want to influence others. Here's the truth. People don't just listen to what you say, they feel how you say it. Your tone, your energy, your clarity, they all matter just as much as the actual words. Think of your words like arrows. If you aim carefully and release them with intention, they can hit the target and create impact. But if you shoot carelessly, they can miss completely or even cause unintended damage. The first step to speaking with power is clarity. Before you open your mouth, ask yourself, what is the point I'm trying to make? Too many people speak in circles, throwing out vague statements and filler words. This leaves their listeners confused and uninspired. Clarity is influence. When your message is clear, people know exactly what you stand for and what you want them to do. The second step is confidence. Even the right words lose their strength if they're delivered with hesitation or doubt. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance. It simply means you believe in what you're saying. You trust your own message. This belief naturally transfers to the people listening to you. If you sound unsure, why should they be sure? But when you speak with steady conviction, others feel that energy and begin to believe too. Another essential part of powerful speech is simplicity. The greatest communicators don't use big, complicated words to impress people. They use simple, direct language that anyone can understand. Think of great speeches throughout history. They were powerful, not because they were complex, but because they were clear and memorable. When you keep your words simple, your message spreads further and sticks longer. Speaking with purpose also means being intentional about why you are speaking. Are you trying to inspire someone, teach them, motivate them to take action? Each purpose requires a slightly different approach. If you're inspiring, you might share stories that touch the heart. If you're teaching, you focus on clarity and structure. If you're motivating, you bring energy and urgency. Always match your tone and delivery to your purpose. But here's something most people overlook. Speaking powerfully isn't just about your voice. It's about the silence between your words. Pausing at the right moment can be just as impactful as what you say. Silence gives your listeners time to absorb your message. It creates suspense. It makes the next words you speak feel even more significant. Don't rush. Let your message breathe. When you speak, use stories whenever possible. Facts tell, but stories sell. A good story captures attention and connects on an emotional level. It paints a picture that sticks in someone's mind long after the conversation ends. The best influencers are storytellers. They use real-life examples, personal experiences, or even simple metaphors to make their points unforgettable. Your body language also plays a huge role in how your words are received. Stand tall, make steady eye contact, and use natural hand gestures to emphasize your message. If your words say one thing but your body says another, people will believe your body. Your non-verbal cues must match your verbal ones to create trust and impact. Finally, remember this: every word you speak leaves a mark. Use your voice to build, not to tear down. Be the kind of person whose words encourage, inspire, and guide others toward growth. People are surrounded by negativity and criticism every day. When you speak life and hope into their world, you become someone they want to listen to, someone they want to follow. Speaking with power and purpose doesn't happen overnight. It's a skill that develops through practice. Pay attention to how you communicate. Notice when your words land well and when they fall flat. Refine your delivery. Over time, your voice will become a tool of influence that can move hearts, shift minds, and create real change. When you master this skill, you won't need to shout to be heard. Your words will carry weight simply because they come from a place of clarity, confidence, and purpose. And when you speak, people will lean in, not because they have to, but because they want to. Chapter 5. The Subtle Power of Body Language. Long before you ever say a word, you've already spoken volumes. How? Through your body language. The way you stand, the way you move, the look in your eyes, all of these things communicate messages to the people around you. And often, those unspoken signals are louder than anything you could ever say. People don't just listen to your words, they watch your actions, they read your posture, your facial expressions, and even the smallest gestures. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who said all the right things, but something about them felt off? Maybe they claimed to be confident, yet their eyes darted around the room. Maybe they said they were trustworthy, but their posture seemed closed off and defensive. Deep down, you didn't believe their words, because their body told you the truth. This is why mastering body language is essential for influence. When your words and your nonverbal signals align, you create a powerful sense of authenticity. People feel safe around you, they sense your confidence, and as a result, they are far more likely to listen to you and follow your lead. Let's start with the foundation of body language. Posture. The way you carry yourself says a lot about how you see yourself and how you expect others to see you. Stand tall, shoulders back, head up, not stiff or robotic, but open and strong. A confident posture communicates leadership without a single word. When you enter a room this way, people notice. They may not even consciously realize it, but they feel your presence. Next, let's talk about eye contact. Eye contact is one of the fastest ways to build trust and connection. When you look someone in the eyes, you send the message, I see you, I value you. But there's a balance here. Too little eye contact can make you seem nervous or dishonest. Too much can feel aggressive or intimidating. Aim for steady, natural eye contact, the kind you would have with a close friend during a meaningful conversation. Your facial expressions also speak louder than you might think. A genuine smile can disarm tension and invite warmth, while a frown or blank expression can shut people down instantly. Be aware of what your face is communicating. It doesn't mean you need to plaster on a fake grin, but rather allow your expressions to match the emotions you want to convey. If you want to inspire hope, let your face reflect hope. If you want to show empathy, let your face show genuine concern. Then there are gestures. Your hands can emphasize your words or contradict them. Open, relaxed gestures create a sense of honesty and openness. Closed, rigid movements suggest defensiveness or fear. When you use your hands naturally while speaking, you draw people in and keep their attention. Even the space you take up matters. Confident people don't shrink into themselves. They occupy space with ease, not in a dominating way, but in a way that says, I belong here. Simple things like leaning in slightly when listening or stepping forward when making a point can make a huge difference in how others perceive you. Body language isn't just about what others see. It also affects how you feel. Research has shown that when you adopt a confident posture, your brain begins to feel more confident. This means that even if you don't feel powerful in the moment, simply standing tall and opening your body can shift your mindset. Your physical state shapes your emotional state. Here's something important to remember. People can sense authenticity. You can't fake confidence forever. The key is alignment. When your inner thoughts and outer actions match, others can feel it. If you truly believe in yourself and your message, your body language will naturally reflect that belief. But if there's a disconnect, people will pick up on it. even if they can't explain why. To master body language, practice awareness. Pay attention to how you move, how you sit, how you walk into a room. Notice how others respond to you. Over time, small adjustments can create a massive impact. The subtle power of body language lies in its ability to speak directly to the subconscious mind. People may forget your exact words, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Your body language is the silent partner to your voice. Together, they create a message that either draws people toward you or pushes them away. If you want to influence others, don't just focus on what you say. Focus on what you show. Align your words, your actions, and your presence. When your body speaks with confidence, authenticity, and openness, people will listen, even before you utter a single word. Chapter 6. Win hearts before you win minds. When it comes to influence, most people get it backward. They try to convince others with facts, logic, and perfectly constructed arguments. They pile up reasons and data, thinking, if I can just explain it clearly enough, they'll agree with me. But here's the truth. People don't make decisions with their minds first. They make decisions with their hearts. If you want to truly influence someone, you must connect with their emotions before you can ever hope to change their thinking. Think about the most powerful moments in your life. The times you felt deeply inspired, deeply moved, or completely transformed. Those moments weren't driven by statistics or bullet points. They were driven by feelings. A speech that brought tears to your eyes. A story that lit a fire in your soul. A mentor whose belief in you gave you courage. That's the level of connection you need to create if you want to win people over. Here's why this works. Humans are emotional creatures. Even the most logical person you know is still driven by feelings underneath the surface. We like to think we make decisions based purely on reason, but research and life experience tells a different story. Emotion drives action, while logic justifies it afterward. This means your first job as an influencer is to reach someone's heart. How do you do that? By showing them that you understand them. People don't care how smart you are or how much you know until they feel that you truly see them and value them. When someone feels understood, their defenses come down. They stop resisting. They start listening. One of the best ways to connect emotionally is through empathy. Empathy is more than just saying, I understand. It's putting yourself in their shoes, feeling what they feel, and letting that guide how you communicate. When you speak with empathy, your words carry a different energy. People can feel the difference between someone who's trying to win an argument and someone who genuinely cares about them. Stories are another powerful tool for winning hearts. A well-told story bypasses logic and speaks directly to emotion. It allows people to see themselves in the narrative, to feel the stakes, and to connect on a personal level. That's why leaders, teachers, and influencers throughout history have used storytelling as their most powerful weapon. Facts might inform the mind, but stories stir the soul. Another key is authenticity. Don't try to fake emotional connection. People will sense it, and it will backfire. Be real. Share your own struggles, your own fears, your own journey. When you open up, others feel safe to do the same. Vulnerability creates trust, and trust opens the door to influence. Let's be clear, winning hearts doesn't mean ignoring logic. Once you've created an emotional connection, you can use reason and facts to reinforce your message. But if you start with logic alone, you'll often hit a wall. Imagine trying to push open a locked door. That's what it feels like to argue facts with someone whose heart is closed. When you win their heart first, it's like they hand you the key to that door. Think about some of the most persuasive figures in history. People like Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, or even great coaches and mentors you've known personally. They didn't just present arguments, They stirred people's emotions. They painted a vision of what could be. They made people feel something so strongly that taking action became the natural next step. If you want to influence on that level, start focusing less on being right and more on being real. Listen deeply, speak with empathy, share stories, be authentic, connect to their hopes, their fears, and their dreams. When you touch someone's heart, you don't just change their mind for a moment, you can change their life forever. Remember, this logic might make someone think, but emotion makes them move, and influence isn't about winning debates. It's about inspiring action. Win their heart, and their mind will follow. When you master this, you won't have to push people toward your vision. They'll want to walk there with you, willingly, passionately, and wholeheartedly. Chapter 7. Create value before you ask for anything. Influence isn't about what you can get from others. It's about what you can give to them first. Too many people approach relationships like transactions. They walk into conversations, meetings, or opportunities with one question in mind: what can I get out of this? But if you want to be truly influential, you need to flip that mindset completely. Instead of taking, focus on creating value. Serve first. Give before you ask. When you do this, you build goodwill, trust, and loyalty that no amount of persuasion can buy. Think about it. How do you feel when someone only reaches out when they need something? Maybe it's a friend who disappears for months, then suddenly shows up asking for a favor, or a coworker who ignores you until they need your help. It doesn't feel good, does it? It feels one-sided, and it makes you hesitant to say yes. Now flip that around. Imagine someone who consistently supports you, encourages you, and helps you whenever they can, with no strings attached. When that person finally asks for something, don't you want to help them? That's the power of creating value first. The secret to influence is simple. Become a person who makes other people's lives better. This doesn't mean you have to give away money or huge favors. Often the most valuable things you can offer are intangible: encouragement, knowledge, connections, or simply your time and attention. A kind word at the right moment, a piece of advice that saves someone months of struggle, an introduction that opens a door they couldn't open on their own. These small acts create ripple effects that build your reputation as someone worth listening to. Here's the key: don't give just to get. People can sense manipulation. If your generosity is really just a clever tactic to benefit yourself, it will eventually backfire. Your giving has to be genuine. The goal is to build relationships, not transactions. When you serve with authenticity, people feel it. They begin to trust you deeply, and that trust lays the foundation for lasting influence. Creating value also requires paying attention. Too many people miss opportunities to help because they're too focused on themselves. Start listening more closely to what others need. What challenges are they facing? What dreams are they chasing? What obstacles are holding them back? When you understand their world, you can step in and offer meaningful solutions, sometimes even before they ask. Think of it like planting seeds. Every act of giving is a seed you plant in the soil of a relationship. At first you may not see results. It might feel like nothing is happening. But over time those seeds grow into trust, respect, and mutual support. And when the time comes to ask for help or collaboration, you won't be pulling from an empty field. You'll be harvesting from the garden you've been nurturing all along. This approach works in every area of life. In business, it might mean providing value to your clients or colleagues before pitching your product or idea. In friendships, it might mean showing up for people consistently, even when you don't need anything. In leadership, it's about serving your team before expecting them to follow you. The irony is, when you focus on giving instead of taking, you actually receive more in the long run. People naturally want to reciprocate kindness. They remember who helped them when they needed it most. They become your allies, your advocates, and sometimes even your biggest champions. This creates a network of influence that grows far beyond what you could build through force or persuasion alone. Here's a simple rule to live by. Always aim to leave people better than you found them. Every interaction is an opportunity to add value, whether it's through encouragement, wisdom, or tangible help. When people consistently walk away from you feeling uplifted and supported, they won't just listen to your words, they'll seek them out. So before you ask for anything, a favor, a sale, a commitment, pause and ask yourself, have I given first? Have I invested in this relationship? If the answer is no, focus on creating value. Give generously, sincerely and consistently. Over time, you'll find that influence comes naturally, almost effortlessly, because when you pour into others without keeping score, they will pour back into you, and together you'll rise higher than you ever could, alone. Chapter 8. Turn conflicts into connections. Conflict is inevitable. No matter how kind, patient or understanding you are, there will come a time when you clash with someone. It could be a disagreement with a coworker, a misunderstanding with a friend, or even a heated argument with someone you love. Many people fear conflict, so they either avoid it completely or attack it head-on with anger and defensiveness. Neither approach works. Avoiding conflict leaves problems unresolved, while aggression only creates deeper divides. If you want to truly influence others, you must learn how to transform conflicts into opportunities for connection. Here's the thing, conflict isn't always bad. In fact, it often signals that two people care deeply about something. The real issue isn't the disagreement itself, it's how you handle it. When approached wisely, conflict can actually strengthen relationships instead of destroying them. It can build trust, deepen understanding, and create solutions that never would have surfaced otherwise. The first step in turning conflict into connection is to manage your emotions. When tensions rise, it's easy to let anger take control, but reacting out of anger rarely leads to progress. Pause before you speak. Take a breath. Remind yourself that the goal isn't to win the argument, it's to solve the problem and preserve the relationship. If you can stay calm, you automatically gain an advantage, because emotions are contagious. Your calmness can help de-escalate the other person's anger. Next, listen before you defend. Most people go into conflict ready to prove their point. They interrupt, argue, and focus on what they want to say next. But if you want to resolve a disagreement, you must first make the other person feel heard. Even if you don't agree with them, give them space to fully express their thoughts and feelings. Sometimes, just being truly heard is enough to diffuse a lot of anger. Once you've listened, repeat back what you've understood. Say something like, "So what I'm hearing is that you feel overlooked in this project, and that's made you frustrated." This simple act shows empathy and confirms that you're paying attention. It doesn't mean you're admitting fault. It just proves you care enough to understand their perspective. When people feel understood, they become far more willing to listen in return. Now, focus on common ground. In most conflicts, there's at least one shared goal. Maybe you both want the team to succeed, the relationship to thrive, or the situation to improve. Highlighting that shared goal turns the dynamic from me versus you into us versus the problem. This shift changes the energy completely. Instead of fighting against each other, you're working together to find a solution. Be mindful of your words during conflict. Language can either escalate or calm a situation. Avoid blame-filled statements like, "You always," or "You never." These only make the other person defensive. Instead, use I statements. "I felt hurt when this happened," or "I'm concerned about how this affected the project." This keeps the focus on your experience, rather than attacking their character. Another powerful strategy is to approach conflict with curiosity. Instead of assuming you know why the other person acted a certain way, ask questions. Can you help me understand what led to that decision? Curiosity opens doors. It turns hostility into dialogue and gives you valuable insights you might have missed otherwise. Sometimes, even after doing everything right, the other person may remain upset or unwilling to compromise. That's okay. Influence doesn't mean forcing an outcome. It means showing up with integrity, doing your part to resolve things, and leaving the door open for future reconciliation. Not every conflict will end perfectly, but your calm and respectful approach will leave a lasting impression. The greatest influencers aren't those who avoid conflict, but those who navigate it with wisdom. When people see that you can handle tough conversations without exploding or shutting down, they respect you more. They begin to trust you as someone who can guide them through difficult situations, and that trust strengthens your influence. Conflict will always be part of life, but instead of viewing it as something to fear, see it as a chance to build deeper relationships. When handled with care, conflicts can turn strangers into allies, and misunderstandings into mutual growth. Learn to turn conflict into connection, and you'll not only resolve problems, you'll build bridges that last a lifetime. Chapter 9. Lead without a title. Leadership isn't about having a corner office, a fancy job title, or authority printed on a business card. Real leadership comes from who you are, not where you sit. It's about influence, not position. Some of the most impactful leaders you'll ever meet are the ones who don't have formal authority, but who naturally inspire others through their actions, character, and vision. Too many people wait to become a leader. They think, once I get promoted, then I'll step up. Once I have the title, then I'll take responsibility. But that's backward thinking. The truth is, you must act like a leader long before anyone gives you the title. In fact, it's your willingness to lead without a title that often earns you the recognition and opportunities you're waiting for. Leadership without a title begins with ownership. Stop thinking in terms of what's your job and what isn't. Leaders see problems and take responsibility for solving them, even when it's not officially their duty. If something is broken, they fix it. If someone is struggling, they step in to help. This proactive mindset builds respect. People notice when you care enough to go above and beyond. But leadership isn't about doing everything yourself. It's about lifting others up. The best leaders don't demand followers. They create other leaders. They encourage, mentor, and support the people around them. Even without authority, you can create a ripple effect by helping others grow. When you make the people around you stronger, you automatically raise the level of the entire group. Another key to leading without a title is integrity. People won't follow you just because you tell them to. They follow because they trust you. Trust comes from consistency, doing what you say you'll do, even when it's hard. It's easy to act like a leader when things are going well. The real test comes when there's pressure, conflict, or uncertainty. In those moments, people are watching you closely. If you stay calm and steady, you give them confidence. If you panic or compromise your values, you lose their respect. Communication also plays a huge role. Leaders know how to listen deeply and speak clearly. They don't just bark orders or dominate conversations. They create an environment where everyone feels heard and valued. When you listen to others and share ideas openly, you create collaboration instead of competition. This is how influence spreads, not through force but through connection. You may be wondering, but what if no one listens to me? What if I'm not in a position to make big decisions? The beauty of leadership without a title is that it's about small daily actions. You don't have to change the entire organization overnight. Start by showing up as someone who others can count on. Be the person who brings solutions instead of complaints. Be the one who shows kindness when tensions rise. Over time, these consistent behaviors create undeniable influence. One of the most powerful examples of this is servant leadership, the idea that you lead by serving others. Instead of trying to be the most important person in the room, focus on making others feel important. Ask, "How can I help?" and mean it. This simple mindset shift transforms how people see you. They'll begin to trust and respect you because they know you're genuinely invested in their success. Here's the truth: titles come and go, companies restructure, positions change, but your character and the way you treat people, that's permanent. When you lead without a title, you build a legacy that no organizational chart can erase. People will remember how you made them feel, how you inspired them, and how you showed up when it mattered most. Don't wait for permission to lead. Don't sit back thinking someone else will take charge. Influence isn't something you're handed, it's something you create through action. Start now, right where you are, with whatever resources you have. Be the leader you wish you had. When you do this, something amazing happens. Opportunities start to find you. People begin to look to you for guidance, not because of a title, but because of who you are. And that is the highest form of leadership, influence that's earned, not given. Chapter 10. The Psychology of Persuasion. Influence isn't magic, it's psychology. Every time you persuade someone, whether it's convincing a friend to try a new restaurant, getting a team to support your idea, or inspiring someone to take action on their dreams, you're tapping into the way the human mind works. When you understand these underlying principles, you gain a powerful advantage. You stop guessing what might work, and you start communicating in a way that naturally moves people toward yes. The first thing to understand is this: people don't like to be forced. The moment they feel pressured or manipulated, they resist. That resistance often has nothing to do with your idea and everything to do with how you approached them. True persuasion isn't about overpowering someone's will, it's about aligning with their desires, fears and needs, so they feel like they are making the choice themselves. One of the most powerful psychological principles of persuasion is reciprocity. When someone gives us something, we feel a natural urge to give something back. It's wired into us as humans. That's why creating value first, like we discussed in an earlier chapter, is so effective. When you help others, listen to them, or provide useful information without expecting anything in return, they'll often feel drawn to return the favor. This could be in the form of support, loyalty, or simply saying yes when you need it most. Another key principle is social proof. People tend to look to others when deciding how to act, especially in uncertain situations. If they see that others trust you, support you, or follow your lead, they're far more likely to do the same. This is why testimonials, endorsements, and visible results are so persuasive. It's not just you telling someone to take action, it's an entire group silently saying, "This works." You can trust it. Then there's scarcity. Humans are naturally wired to place a higher value on things that seem rare or limited. If you've ever seen a sign that says, "Only 2 left in stock" or "Offer ends tonight," you've experienced scarcity at work. But this principle isn't just about sales tactics. It applies to you as a person too. When your time, energy, and attention are limited, and you protect them wisely, people will value them more. If you give yourself away too freely, your influence diminishes. One of the deepest drivers of human behavior is identity. People want their actions to match who they believe they are, or who they want to become. This means that instead of just telling someone what to do, connect your message to their identity. For example, don't just say, "You should start exercising." Instead, say, "You're someone who cares about living a strong, healthy life, and this is just another way to honor that." When your words affirm their sense of self, you create lasting change. Another subtle but powerful tactic is consistency. Once people commit to something, even in a small way, they feel a strong psychological pull to stay consistent with that choice. This is why getting someone to take a small first step, like agreeing to a short meeting, trying a sample, or simply saying yes to a minor request, can open the door to larger agreements later. Their mind wants to stay aligned with the story they've started telling themselves. Of course, persuasion must always be used with integrity. These principles are powerful, and like any power, they can be used for good or harm. Your goal should never be to trick or manipulate people into doing something against their will. The most lasting and ethical influence comes from helping others make decisions that benefit them as well as you. When you combine these principles, persuasion stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a dance. You're no longer pushing against resistance. You're moving with the natural flow of human psychology. People feel understood, valued and respected, and as a result, they willingly follow your lead. Remember, the psychology of persuasion isn't about control, it's about connection. It's about understanding how people think and feel so you can communicate in a way that resonates deeply. When you master this, your influence will grow exponentially. You'll stop wasting energy trying to convince others through force, and instead, inspire them to take action because it feels right to them. That's the kind of persuasion that lasts, and the kind that changes lives. Chapter 11. Influence through stories. Facts can inform the mind, but stories capture the heart. If you truly want to influence people, you must become a storyteller. This doesn't mean you have to be a writer, a speaker, or a performer. It simply means learning how to share ideas in a way that touches people on an emotional level, because when someone feels your message, they remember it, and more importantly, they act on it. Think about it. The lessons you remember most vividly from childhood probably came through stories. Fables, parables, and bedtime tales weren't just entertainment, they were teaching tools. Even as adults, our brains are wired for stories. When you give someone a list of facts, their logical mind might understand, but their heart stays untouched. When you tell them a story, their imagination comes alive. They see it, feel it, and experience it as if they were there. Stories work because they bypass defenses. If you walk up to someone and say, "Here's why you're wrong," their walls go up instantly. But if you tell a story, they relax. They listen. They naturally connect the dots on their own, without feeling attacked. This makes storytelling one of the most powerful, non-confrontational ways to persuade. The key to storytelling isn't perfection, it's connection. You don't need elaborate details or dramatic flair. What matters is that your story is relatable and genuine. Share real moments from your life, your struggles, or even mistakes you've made. When you open up, others see themselves in your story. They realize, if they went through that and overcame it, maybe I can too. Vulnerability draws people in because it's real. Every powerful story has three parts: the struggle, the turning point, and the lesson. First, show the problem or challenge. Paint a picture of what was at stake. This creates tension and keeps people interested. Next, share the turning point, the decision, realization, or action that changed everything. Finally, reveal the lesson. Tie it back to the message you want them to remember. This structure works because it mirrors real life. We all face struggles, turning points, and lessons. Let's imagine you want to inspire your team to embrace change. You could stand in front of them and list all the reasons why change is necessary. Or you could tell a story about a time when you resisted change, what it cost you, and how embracing it later opened doors you never imagined. Which approach do you think they'll remember? The story wins every time. Stories also create influence because they travel. When someone hears a great story, they often repeat it. This spreads your message far beyond the initial conversation. A story is like a seed. You plant it in one mind, and it grows in many others. That's how ideas become movements and visions become reality. To become a better storyteller, start by paying attention to your own life. You already have a library of experiences inside you. Look for moments of challenge, growth, and victory. These are the raw materials of great stories. You don't need to embellish them. Authenticity is far more compelling than exaggeration. You can also borrow stories from history, books, or the lives of people you admire. The key is to tell them in a way that connects to the listener's current situation. A story about a historical leader isn't just about the past. It's about courage, perseverance, or vision, qualities that are timeless and universal. When telling a story, bring it to life with sensory details. Help people see the scene, hear the sounds, and feel the emotions. You don't need to be overly dramatic. Just a few well-chosen details can make a story vivid and memorable. And remember, your tone matters as much as your words. Speak with warmth and sincerity. The most influential people throughout history, teachers, leaders, revolutionaries, all understood the power of storytelling. They didn't just share information, they inspired belief. They painted a picture of what could be, and that picture ignited action. So, the next time you want to influence someone, don't just tell them what to do. Tell them a story that moves them. Wrap your message inside a narrative they'll never forget. Because long after they forget your exact words, they'll remember how your story made them feel. And that feeling will guide their decisions in ways logic alone never could. Influence through stories isn't just a skill, it's an art. Master it, and you'll have a tool more powerful than persuasion, more lasting than arguments, and more inspiring than commands. You won't just change minds, you'll touch hearts, and in doing so, change lives. Chapter 12. Build a network of mutual influence. No one achieves greatness alone. Behind every influential person is a network of relationships that helped them grow, supported them during setbacks, and amplified their voice when it mattered most. Influence isn't just about what you can do, it's also about who you surround yourself with. The people in your circle can either lift you higher or quietly pull you down. That's why building a strong, healthy network is essential if you want to create lasting impact. Here's the thing, most people think networking is about collecting contacts or exchanging business cards. It's not. Real networking is about building genuine connections, relationships based on trust, respect, and mutual value. It's not about what someone can do for you today, but about creating a long-term bond where both sides grow stronger together. The first step in building a powerful network is being intentional about the kind of people you want around you. Ask yourself, who inspires me? Who challenges me to grow? Who models the kind of character and success I want to embody? Seek out people who bring out your best, not those who drain your energy or encourage bad habits. Influence flows both ways, so be sure you're surrounding yourself with people whose energy and vision align with the life you want to create. But here's a critical truth. If you want to attract high-quality people, you must be a high-quality person yourself. Relationships are mirrors. If you want to be surrounded by trustworthy, inspiring individuals, you need to show those same qualities first. That means showing up consistently, keeping your word, and adding value to others without keeping score. The more you focus on becoming someone worth knowing, the more naturally you'll draw the right people into your orbit. One of the best ways to build strong relationships is to approach every connection with a mindset of service. Ask, how can I help this person succeed? It might be by offering encouragement, sharing knowledge, or connecting them with someone who can solve their problem. When you become a connector, someone who brings people and opportunities together, your influence multiplies. People begin to see you as a valuable resource, and they'll want to stay connected to you. At the same time, Remember that mutual influence goes both ways. Don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. Too often, we hesitate to reach out because we fear looking weak or needy. But strong relationships are built on reciprocity. When you allow others to support you, it deepens the bond. It also gives them the joy of giving, a gift in itself. Consistency is another key to growing your network. Relationships don't thrive on occasional one-time interactions. They grow through regular, meaningful touch points. This doesn't mean you have to constantly be in contact, but you should check in periodically, send a message, share an update, or simply let them know you're thinking of them. Small gestures like this show you care, and they keep the connection alive over time. Be mindful of the diversity of your network. It's easy to gravitate toward people who think, act, and live like you do. But some of the greatest growth comes from connecting with those who have different experiences and perspectives. A diverse network broadens your vision and exposes you to new ideas. It also expands your influence by connecting you to communities you might not reach otherwise. However, not every relationship belongs in your inner circle. You must protect your energy. There will be people who take without giving, who bring negativity or drama into your life. It's okay to love them from a distance. Choose wisely who gets your time and attention. A small group of supportive, high-value relationships is far more powerful than a crowd of shallow connections. Finally, remember that building a network of mutual influence takes time. Relationships can't be rushed. They grow through trust earned over months and years. Be patient, stay authentic, keep showing up. Over time, you'll create a web of connections that not only supports you, but also allows you to amplify your influence far beyond what you could achieve alone. When you walk into a room filled with people who believe in you, who will speak your name in rooms you haven't entered yet, and who will stand beside you through victories and failures, you become unstoppable. Your network becomes a living force that multiplies your reach and impact. So don't just focus on your individual influence. Focus on building a community of mutual growth and support. Because when the right people come together, influence spreads like wildfire, and together, you can achieve more than you ever imagined. Chapter 13. Influence across cultures and personalities. Influence isn't one size fits all. What works beautifully in one situation may fall flat in another. People are different. Cultures are different. Personalities are different. And if you try to influence everyone using the same approach, you'll quickly run into frustration and misunderstandings. The secret to becoming a truly skilled influencer is learning how to adapt, to read the room, understand the person in front of you, and communicate in a way that resonates with them, not just with you. Think of influence like learning a language. If you travel to a new country and only speak your native tongue, you might get lucky and find someone who understands you. But most of the time, there will be confusion. The same thing happens in relationships. When you speak only your own style of communication, you limit how many people you can connect with. When you take the time to learn someone else's language, your message gets through loud and clear. Let's start with personalities. Some people are driven and direct. They like results, action and clear, concise communication. Others are more analytical. They want details, data, and time to think before deciding. Some are relationship-focused. They care deeply about harmony, connection, and how decisions affect others. And then there are those who are creative and spontaneous, drawn to new ideas and possibilities. Now imagine trying to influence all four types, using the same approach. If you push a relationship-focused person too hard, they'll shut down. If you give an analytical thinker vague ideas with no facts, they won't trust you. If you overwhelm a direct, results-driven person with too many details, they'll lose patience. The key is flexibility. Learn to identify what matters most to the other person, and then tailor your message to fit their style. This doesn't mean being fake or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about respect. When you adapt your approach, you're showing that you value the other person enough to meet them where they are. It's like adjusting the volume on a radio. You're fine-tuning your delivery so they can hear you clearly. Cultural differences add another layer. What's considered respectful in one culture might seem rude in another. For example, in some places direct eye contact signals confidence and honesty. In others, it can be seen as aggressive or disrespectful. Even simple gestures, like a handshake or a nod, can carry different meanings depending on where you are. If you're working with people from different backgrounds, take time to learn about their culture. Pay attention to how they interact, what they value, and what behaviors are considered polite or inappropriate. This kind of awareness not only prevents misunderstandings, but also shows deep respect. People are far more open to influence when they feel you've made the effort to understand them. Listening becomes even more crucial in cross-cultural and cross-personality situations. Don't assume you already know how someone thinks or feels. Ask questions. Observe carefully. Listen not just to their words, but to their tone, their body language, and what they don't say. Sometimes, what's left unspoken is just as important as what's said aloud. One of the best tools you can use is curiosity. Instead of judging differences, get curious about them. If someone reacts in a way you don't understand, ask yourself, what might be influencing their perspective? Curiosity opens the door to empathy, and empathy builds bridges where there might otherwise be walls. Here's another important point. Adapting to others doesn't mean abandoning your own values. Influence works best when it's authentic. You can respect someone's culture or personality while staying true to who you are. Think of it like dancing. You move in rhythm with your partner, adjusting to their steps, but you don't lose your own balance. The more you practice adapting, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you'll develop a kind of influence intuition. You'll walk into a room and quickly sense the energy. You'll notice subtle cues that tell you how to approach each person. And because you've built this skill, you'll be able to connect with a wide variety of people from different backgrounds, with different personalities, and even different worldviews. This ability makes you incredibly powerful because influence is ultimately about connection. When you can connect with anyone, anywhere, you expand your reach far beyond what you could achieve otherwise. You become the person others look to as a bridge, someone who brings people together, resolves conflicts, and creates understanding where there was once division. So, the next time you find yourself struggling to get through to someone, pause and ask yourself, am I speaking their language, or just my own? The answer might change everything. Adaptability isn't about losing yourself. It's about becoming the kind of influencer who can reach anyone, anywhere, and leave a positive impact wherever you go. Chapter 14. Influence in the digital age. We live in a world where influence has expanded beyond face-to-face interactions. Today, you can impact someone's thoughts, decisions, and actions without ever meeting them in person. A single post, a short video, or even a well-crafted message can reach thousands, sometimes millions of people within minutes. The digital age has amplified the reach of influence, but it has also made it more fragile. Your words, actions, and even your silence are magnified online, which means the way you show up in the digital world matters now more than ever. The first thing to understand is that your online presence is your reputation. Before someone decides to work with you, buy from you, or even trust you, they'll likely search for you online. What they find, or don't find, shapes their first impression. This is why being intentional about your digital footprint is no longer optional, it's essential. Every post you make, every comment you leave, every photo you share is a piece of the story you're telling about who you are. But here's the challenge. The digital world moves fast. Opinions are formed in seconds, and people are bombarded with messages constantly. If you want to stand out, you have to be clear, authentic, and consistent. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Instead, decide what you want to be known for, and let that guide how you show up online. When your message is focused and consistent, people begin to recognize you as a trusted voice in that space. Authenticity is more important now than ever. In a world full of filters, staged images, and polished personas, people crave something real. They can sense when someone is being fake or manipulative. If you want to build true influence online, you must be genuine. Share your values, your lessons, and even your struggles. Not in a way that overshares or seeks pity, but in a way that connects with others on a human level. People follow people they relate to, not perfect images they can't connect with. At the same time, remember that the internet never forgets. Something you post in frustration or carelessness can live on forever. Before you hit send, pause and ask yourself, does this reflect who I am and what I stand for? Once your words are out there, you can't fully take them back. Protecting your reputation means practicing mindfulness every time you engage online. The digital age also gives you incredible tools to expand your reach, but these tools are only as powerful as the intention behind them. Whether you're posting on social media, recording a podcast, or writing an article, focus on creating value. Just like in real life, influence comes from giving, not just taking. Share insights, inspiration, and practical tips that genuinely help others. When people consistently receive value from you, they begin to trust you, and that trust translates into influence. Another key to digital influence is engagement. Don't just broadcast messages and disappear. Interact with your audience. Respond to comments. Ask questions. Show appreciation. When people feel seen and heard, they form deeper connections with you. That connection builds loyalty, and loyalty is the fuel that keeps influence growing. But there's a danger in the digital world you must guard against: the temptation to chase numbers instead of impact. It's easy to get caught up in likes, shares, and followers, but those metrics don't always equal real influence. It's better to have a smaller, engaged community that truly trusts you than a massive audience that barely pays attention. Focus on depth, not just width. True influence is measured by the lives you change, not the numbers on a screen. Finally, understand that digital influence comes with responsibility. When your voice reaches far, your mistakes reach far too. Be mindful of the messages you spread. Use your platform to build people up, not tear them down. In a world where negativity often spreads faster than positivity, choose to be a light. Choose to be a source of hope, wisdom, and clarity. The digital age has opened doors for you to share your message with the world, but with that opportunity comes a challenge to stay grounded, authentic, and intentional amidst all the noise. If you use these tools wisely, you can create ripples of influence that stretch across cities, countries, and even generations. So show up with purpose. Let your online presence reflect the best of who you are. Give value freely, engage genuinely, and remember, behind every screen is a real person with real hopes, fears, and dreams. When you connect with them authentically, your influence won't just spread wide, it will spread deep, leaving an impact that lasts long after the scroll has stopped. Chapter 15. Leave a legacy of positive influence. At some point, influence stops being about the present moment and starts being about the mark you leave behind. True influence isn't just about convincing someone to take action today. It's about planting seeds that will continue to grow long after you're gone. The most powerful influencers don't just change conversations, they change lives. They inspire others to go out and influence even more people, creating a ripple effect that spreads far beyond what they could have done alone. Think about the people who have shaped your life. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself, a parent or mentor whose words still echo in your mind years later, or even a stranger whose kindness you never forgot. Those moments didn't just impact you in that instant. They became part of who you are. That's the essence of a legacy. It's influence that outlives the moment, shaping the future in ways you may never fully see. Leaving a legacy starts with your daily actions. It's easy to think about legacy in grand terms. Books written, companies built, monuments left behind. But legacy is really built in the small choices you make every single day. The way you treat people when no one is watching. The values you live by, even when it's inconvenient. The example you set for your children, friends, co-workers, and community. These daily decisions create the story others will tell about you long after you've moved on. The key is to focus on positive influence. Not all influence is good. History is full of people who left a legacy of fear, anger, or destruction. But you have the power to choose differently. You can decide right now that your influence will build, not break. That your words will inspire, not wound. That your actions will make the world just a little better than it was before. One powerful way to create a lasting legacy is to invest in others. Teach what you know, share your experiences. Mentor someone who's just starting their journey. When you pour into others, your influence multiplies because they carry your lessons forward. Even if they never mention your name, the impact of your guidance lives on through their success. This is how true leaders create movements, not by being the hero, but by creating more heroes. Another part of legacy is integrity. People may forget your accomplishments, but they will never forget how you made them feel and who you were at your core. Were you trustworthy? Did you keep your word? Did you live by the principles you spoke about? When your actions align with your values, you leave behind a model for others to follow. Even in your absence, your example continues to guide them. Don't underestimate the power of small moments. A kind word, a listening ear, a piece of advice given at the right time. These seem insignificant in the moment, but they can change someone's entire path. You may never know the full effect of your influence, and that's okay. Influence isn't about recognition, it's about impact. As you think about your legacy, ask yourself some powerful questions. How do I want to be remembered? What do I want people to say about me when I'm not in the room, or even when I'm no longer here? Am I living today in a way that aligns with that vision? These questions bring clarity. They help you make decisions that move you closer to the legacy you want to leave. Remember, time is limited. None of us know how many days we have. That's why it's so important to start building your legacy now, not someday in the future. Every interaction, every conversation, every choice is a chance to shape the story you'll leave behind. In the end, influence isn't about power or control. It's about service. It's about using your gifts, your voice, and your presence to lift others up. When you focus on serving, rather than dominating, your influence becomes timeless. People will remember you not just for what you achieved, but for how you made them feel and how you helped them grow. So live today with the future in mind. Speak words that will echo long after they're spoken. Take actions that will ripple through generations. Build people, not just projects. That is how you leave a legacy of positive influence, one that will continue to shine brightly, even when you're no longer here to see it. Conclusion. Influence is not about titles, positions, or power. It's about the quiet, steady impact you have on the lives of those around you. As you've journeyed through this audiobook, you've learned that true influence begins within, mastering yourself, building trust, listening deeply, speaking with purpose, and showing up authentically in both your words and actions. These aren't just techniques to persuade others, they're principles for living a life of meaning and significance. Every chapter has given you a piece of the puzzle. You've discovered how to connect with people's hearts before their minds, how to create value before asking for anything, and how to resolve conflicts in ways that deepen relationships instead of breaking them. You've seen that leadership doesn't require a title, And that influence grows when you adapt to different personalities, cultures, and even the fast-paced digital world we live in today. And most importantly, you've learned that the highest form of influence is leaving a legacy, inspiring others to become influencers themselves. But here's the truth. None of this matters if you don't put it into practice. Influence is built through consistent daily actions. It's the promise you keep when no one is watching. It's the patience you show when it would be easier to explode in anger. It's the courage to stand for what's right, even when it's unpopular. These small choices add up to something extraordinary. Imagine the kind of world we could create if more people used their influence to lift others up instead of tearing them down. It starts with you. Whether you realize it or not, someone is watching you right now. A child, a friend, a co-worker, or even a stranger. Your words and actions are shaping their beliefs and decisions in ways you may never see. You already have influence. The question is, how will you use it? As you step forward from this audiobook, challenge yourself to become the kind of person others want to follow. Not because you demand it, but because you inspire it. Lead with integrity, speak with clarity, listen with empathy, and above all, serve with a genuine heart. When you do these things, you won't just change a moment, you'll change lives. Your journey of influence starts today. Use what you've learned, practice it daily, and watch as your ripple grows. The world needs voices of hope, wisdom, and courage. Be one of those voices. Be the example others can look to. And remember, your greatest legacy won't be the words you spoke or the things you built, but the lives you touched and the people you empowered along the way. Now go out and use your influence to make the difference only you can make.